Welcome, one and all, to another episode of TopoRanger in Studio. I'm your humble host, Brett Roy, and it's a pleasure for me to be here with you on this day, the 24th of January, 2023.
Oh, Kiwanda.
Anyway, sunny but cold day here in Pennsylvania. Got something to show you, something to share. Check it out, okay? Sinkhole forms at Cape Kiwanda on the Oregon coast. Okay, Oregon Parks and Recreation Department is trying to determine what caused the sinkhole. Park staff blocked off the area as it is as a safety precaution. Okay, so out here in Pennsylvania, out east, you say sinkhole, most people think caves, but I don't think that's what's going on here. Let's take a peek at the sinkhole at Cape Kiwanda. Okay, there's a little picture gallery here. Here you can see it's right on the edge of the dune, looking down into the water, and there does appear to be some patches of grass here that maybe are holding some of this dune together. Right there's the sinkhole. I think it's 20 feet wide by 15 feet deep, so it's not that big, but you could certainly fall into it. Now, you can see on the sides right here, if you notice these dark patches here, right? That's sand basically coming off the side of the sinkhole going down. So it's funneling down into something, right? I mean, the question is, what is it funneling down into? If we keep going with these pictures, this one I think is pretty revealing. I think this is on basalt, although I'm not sure. It could just be sand dunes resting on sandstone or some type of bedrock. You can see there's a bedrock here, but you notice how there's a little right there. You see that? Okay. So what I'm thinking is that there could be a sea cave or even just a small fissure that has been created by the erosive wave action over time, and that fissure extends underneath this chunk of the sand dune, right? And at some point, the bedrock meets the sand, right? And if that fissure gets eroded out far enough into that and breaches that divide, then you are going to get sand funneling down into the fissure, which then connects to the ocean, and that wave action is going to basically carry out the sand. So sand gets carried out, the weight pushes another blob down, that blob gets carried out, the weight of the sand up top pushes another blob down, and then that's how you, over time, you create that sinkhole, that funneling action. And I mean, that can happen pretty fast. Like, I think this was reported yesterday. It says visitors reported a sinkhole at Cape Kiwanda State Natural Area in the lower northwest corner of the dune on January 22nd. So, no, 2 days ago. So somebody reported this thing 2 days ago, right? Um, because obviously it's a safety hazard. You could fall into it. So my guess is probably that's what's happening here, because you can see a recessed area here, and again, it doesn't have to be some giant, the blue grotto of Capri or something like this. It can be just a fissure that you couldn't even get into. You might not even be able to see subsurface. What I would do is probably send somebody down there to take a peek underneath this area right here and see if you can't find a fissure that would be doing that. Now, what else does it say? Oregon Parks and Recreation Department is trying to determine what caused the sinkhole. And there's a video. I'm not going to play the video, but the ranger says it's a dynamic environment in the Cape here. Usually the changes are due to wind, rain events, and wave action," said Elkins. There's one little bit. This one's a little bit different. We haven't seen this one before on the Cape. And I find that hard to believe. I mean, I've never been there, but I would think an area where you have a lot of dunes and you have a lot of strong wave action, a lot of fissures, and the fissures start. There's a joint in the rock, right? And that joint gets slowly enlarged. I have a hard time believing that this has never happened before. But anything's possible. Let me stop this auto framing. There we go. Anything is possible. Okay. obviously they have to block this thing off. There it is right there. But so you can see it's actually looks a little different there than it did before. It's probably changing rapidly. There it is. I mean, look at it. It looks like a nice area too. I've never been. I've been to Oregon. I have never been to Cape Kiwanda. Anybody out there been to Cape Kiwanda in this area? Hit me up in the comments. Let me know what it's like. It looks like a really nice area. But yeah, this thing kind of sticks out. You know what I mean? I mean, look at that. Boom, right? And then here's, I think this looks like an aerial shot from, probably a drone shot. So, you know, there is another possibility is that the sand is funneling out somewhere else along here, but I don't know. See right here, you can see that little inlet there again, right there. So that's what I'm probably thinking. That's what's happening here. I would like to see that drone footage. So obviously safety concerns, you know, people, they don't want people going in there and falling, and you could hurt yourself just by falling into the sinkhole, right? um but we're still uh and you could actually have a very kind of dark dark scenario that could happen here. I don't know if it's very likely, but it's possible, and that would be that, you know, somebody comes along, they're, you know, horsing around, hey, let's jump in this hole. They jump in the hole, and their feet go right into the center of the hole, and it forces some sand down, right? And then that could stimulate um, the whole column of sand, wherever the sand is going, to move down, right? So you sink down. Now, depending on how you know how heavy you are, and how, you know, depending on issues like that, if you start this column of sand moving downwards, it could literally suck you down into a column of sand. And it looks like this sinkhole is at least, what, 20, 30 feet, maybe more above the sea level. So you know, you could have a column, a 10, 20-foot column of sand that is moving down until it reaches that fissure, right? That's sucking the sand out. Worst case scenario, you get sucked down into that column, right? Worst case scenario, the column then stops and you're entombed in sand and you suffocate and you die. Best case scenario is the column keeps moving, basically poops you out at the end, poops you right into the ocean, and then, you know, I guess you're on your own. You're on your own from there. But, you know, it makes sense. You can understand why. They're gonna try to figure this out. But that's my guess. So park people, my guess is that it's somewhere down here. Go look down here. Send somebody down there in the water, right? They might want to actually stimulate the formation to push it through to the final destination. The final destination. Pour some water in there. Now they probably want to preserve the dunes too. I don't know. You know, that's what park people are for. I think they can figure it out. But that's my best guess is that it's something right here. Okay. All right. That's our story for today. As always, love having you guys along. Hope you had a good time. If you like these InStudio episodes, please hit subscribe, ring that bell for notifications, and leave a comment. Have you ever been trapped in a sand dune? Have you ever been buried alive at the bottom of a sand dune? Now, some of you are thinking probably right away, this kind of reminds me of, this could be kind of a scenario, kind of like in a movie, right? Now, what famous movie had a scenario where they were tossing people into this giant sand funnel? Okay, and if you know the answer to that question, leave it in the comments. I imagine a lot of you are going to get this one, but yeah. So we're going to say goodbye from Cape Kiwanda on the beautiful Oregon coast. This is Brett Roy for TopoRanger, signing out.